Hello, I just turned this on and I don't know what I'm gonna talk about, but um, I'm hanging out where it feels good to hang out. I'm literally on the ground, which feeling grounded is beautiful, and everybody should do that. And like literally take your shoes off, take off your socks, put your feet on the ground. I'm not doing it right now, but I'm sitting on the ground because it would be it feels very good to be grounded and literally put your feet on the ground. Feels nice, and like kind of visualizing like all of my worries going down into the ground. It like helps clear up my mind, and that's nice. It's like little roots that reach into Mother Earth, and kind of like I like to visualize it, like eating it up and just like nom, 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 enjoying it, so I don't have to deal with it. And then ooh, maybe anyways, but yeah, this area is very active, so I was like, oh, I want to do a video next to my ghosty friends. I should talk about ghosts. There we go. So when I was little, I went to this place in Summerlin for breakfast. It was called the Big Yellow House, and I think one of my teachers when I was in elementary school, or maybe it was like a rumor or something, but I think she told me that she had like lived there when she was really little for like a short time, when it was like the last bits of it being a house, because then by the time I was little, it had ended up being like a restaurant, and then currently it is like a home goods store, and then I think it's like apartments on the top. But I remember one time I went there when I was little, and I went up to the top while like family was having breakfast, or we were waiting to have breakfast or something, and then I went all the way to the top, like floor, and it was a really cool space. Like I felt like very calm and protected, and like it was interesting, and like I just hung out up there for a while and was like in the space, and I felt like very like, what's the word? I felt like people were looking at me, but it wasn't like menacing feeling. It was just like curious, and like they were like kind of like, it felt like they were like, oh, how cute. Like I think they were like, oh, she's such a cute kid. It felt like that. It's like I didn't hear it, but it felt like somebody was looking at me in like that kind of loving way, where like, like if you could kind of tell like, oh, when someone stares at the back of your head and you're like turn around, and like subconsciously you're like aware somebody's looking at you. So that kind of feeling, and it was just really sweet and really nice, and I hung up there as much as I could, because it just felt good, like being in that space with them, like having that kind of like, I guess, protection. So that was really sweet. Also want to talk about like water and stuff, because it was really cool. Today I went to Sound Bath, and they talked about how like we're made up of 80% water, I believe. And then I just thinking like other cross-referencing other things I was thinking about, but it's like they were also saying there, like if you have like if you meditate, it like helps your body, because like literally you're made of so much water. So like you're kind of like praying over yourself, and I guess it makes sense. It's kind of cool with like, and churches, and like when you pray over someone, like you're literally praying over their body, and that it's like water, and it feels like it super makes sense now to me. It's just like, oh, of course, because like our thoughts, like the subconscious thoughts that we have, like when somebody is gonna drive into your lane when you're like driving, or like when somebody, you tell that they're like looking at the back of your head and you like turn around, like those kinds of things that don't necessarily exist in like a physical space, but they do exist because we're like aware of them, kind of like radio waves and ultraviolet stuff, like in different colors that we can't see because the human eye can't pick them up. Like there's going to be other stuff with energy, and like it's really cool because this one I think it's a spiritual teacher that I remember from like a podcast. They had like research, asked a lab in Japan to like research praying over water. So they had done different samples of like water they had prayed over, and like it was cool to see like the different formations and crystallizations of the water, and that was super cool. So I'm like, oh, that's sick. Like to think about it, like how much are like just our thoughts, even though they're not physical, like, but they do have like a manifestation in the physical world, even if it's not something that we can observe with our eyes, is kind of amazing. And like, because when they got the results from the water, it had so many beautiful shapes and stuff. And then they had also done like water that had been like, treated badly, like those things they do with plants with, they like, I hate that they do this, but they like electrocute them and stuff, and it's like it affects stuff. And like obviously we get affected if like people tell us like negative things, but like literally like you having negative thoughts like is hurting you, and then you're hurting someone else because you're like basically sending that, and that's like affecting like on a like biological level the like water that's encased in us and like our body. It's like that's intense, like especially with right now with everything that's happening. It's just like it sucks that we're like hurting each other on such like an intense level. Like just to like realize that is like kind of upsetting, but that means that like even being better and like being more positive is more important now, because it's like we have so much power to like be there for each other and like literally heal each other with like words and like love and like caring and praying, and like literally you can like we can heal people like if we're just nice to them. Like I know it helps like our brains and our mental capacities to like be there for each other and support each other, but like to think that it can like have a physical manifestation on our bodies, like to wish like goodwill on someone is like crazy cool. So I'm like, I have all my like body pains, and like it makes me kind of sad because I know like I have like been the worst at myself because I'm like a people pleaser before, and now I'm like pulling away from that. It's a process obviously, but like just to realize where my body is right now, I think it has to, a part of it, I'm sure, just like part of it's stress, it has to do with like me like feeding my own body those kinds of negative thoughts. And it's like it's always in our hands, like the experience that we're gonna have. And I'm really just starting to like realize how every single thing affects so much of ourselves, like our thoughts and like our feelings. And like thoughts aren't necessarily like our own. Like I feel like we pick up other thoughts off people, and like if you get inspired to do something from someone else, it's like it's a certain kind of thing that's in the air. Because sometimes when I'm with coworkers and we're like vibing, like we'll think the same thing, which is kind of cool too. But like I'm excited and I'm doing it in a better way, and I feel myself getting better, and I feel like more sure of myself. Like it's in a mental way and also a physical way that I think is manifesting, which is beautiful. I feel like it's easier for me to be louder. Like I was I feel like just in the last few years I've been like quieter as far as the sound that's coming out of my mouth. So I feel like I'm getting stronger now that I'm like literally voicing myself, and then I get more practice with that. But I feel like it's a little more stronger with that, like inside my body too, like kind of my subconscious, like touching my subconscious, that I'm like doing that for myself. So that's pretty nice. And then, yeah. But yeah, it's freaking cold. And I'm like getting better about that, which is good. I'm like trying to like, I am not trying, I'm doing it. I'm patting myself on the back for like every little good thing I do for myself. And then like if I do mess up, which is like something I'm trying to be more comfortable with, messing up, it's like I'm able to be like, hey, you quote unquote messed up, because I feel like the more I learn, I'm like messing up is not really messing up, because I'm learning one thing from it. Like there's always at least one thing I can learn from like a mistake that I make, so it's not necessarily a mess up. Yeah, I don't know what I gotta go with that. But see, I'm like, I'm getting too much in my headspace. be more in my heart space. And it's going really well. And the more I get in my space, the more I like enjoy music, which is wonderful. I thought I already liked music, but I feel like it's a whole new level of appreciation now, because that's like literally heart fuel, like to feel better, to like listen to good music, and even like metal music, because it like fuels me in like a different kind of way, and I really like it. And it was cool. I had a Lyft driver today that was into metal, and he only spoke Spanish, and like I was able to converse, because it's like touch and go with like Spanish, because I've more like self-taught. So, and then just messing up and getting better, and like it was really cool to have that conversation. And yeah, very exciting. Okay, have a good night. Star Trek rocks.